Hey, so this is a weird video to be making because I don't consider myself to be a channel, and I definitely don't feel like I've ever had any kind of, truly, I'm not somebody who has experienced any kind of psychic premonitions in general. You know, I just go based off my intuition or really gut feelings about most things these days. But I don't feel like anything supernatural or paranormal has ever been a part of my life in any way, like directly, in a way that, I don't know. But I'm just going to say the things that I'm going to say here because I feel like it sort of came to me from somewhere else and caused a cascade of a thought process to happen, and I'm just going to tell you what it was. So, and just to preface this, I feel like it also ties into this, but I don't know how or if it really does. But I have been, for the last month, I have been super uneasy in a way that I don't normally experience. It's just, this last month has been crazy, and I've made some videos here about the weird stuff that's happened and my conclusions from that, and the steps I've taken to try to make it better, I guess. But it's not bad enough to do anything, really. It's just this sense of uneasiness that's been with me all the time. And last night I was asked to define its source, asked to, define it. And all I could say was, something big is imminent. And I don't know what it is. And when I first said it, I said something bad's about to happen. But then as I kind of sat with that, I'm like, I'm not sure it's bad. I'm just uneasy because it's unknown. And I just sort of feel it out there. I just did my taxes for the year. So first I blamed it on that. I was like, I'm uneasy because I have to pay taxes. And every year we have to pay a lot of taxes, but I really don't think that's it. I've had this underlying subtle sense of anxiety for at least a month now, since the beginning of February for sure. And this was also weird in relation to the gigantic surge of energy I felt at the end of December. So I feel like maybe I am sensing something, and I don't consider myself to in any way be psychic or clairvoyant or any of that stuff, just nothing. Just, I feel like the door has just been shut on my openness to being any kind of conduit for anything that is not just sort of here in the world, which I may have unknowingly been doing this whole time for the last 5 years. I really don't know, but I haven't perceived it as this specifically came from something outside of me. So anyway, I had this sense of unease for the last month and feeling like something is imminent. And then this morning, I don't know if this is related to that, I just sort of woke up with things organizing themselves in my mind, as I do. That little period of time in the morning before I'm really conscious, a whole bunch of stuff just, it's bizarre. It's like house cleaning happens. And then I just I started thinking about the guy that broke the world record for fastest mile, and the phenomenon that followed of then a whole bunch of other people suddenly being able to run that fast. So this guy did something everybody thought was impossible. Then all these people knew it was possible, and then they were able to do it. Now, that's not really, we can all get that, right? We can all get that if you don't think something is possible, then it could very well prevent you from being able to do it. What I think is coming, I don't know, I feel like we've all felt this thing coming. A lot of people, anyway. And we all kind of know that, or I think we've all been sort of introduced to the idea that we can't comprehend the level of change that's coming in a very short period of time. And as I'm saying that, that also makes me uneasy because it's an unknown. But I think what's going to happen, at least partly, is that certain people, and I don't feel like I'm going to be one of these people, but who knows, certain people are going to start to be able to do things that we have considered to be superhuman. I don't know if that's going to be with the assistance of AI or just because AI will suggest to people that they are capable of things that they didn't believe they were, and so then they will be able to do them. Does that make sense? I don't know if this is going to be a hybrid thing. If it's, my sense is it's not. My sense is that something is going to suggest to a large enough number of people that they can do things that we did not consider to be humanly possible before, that they will then demonstrate it, and enough people will demonstrate this that everybody will have no choice but to accept that they too are capable of that, which will like mass unblock a whole bunch of ideas that are currently causing a major limitation on humans. Did that make sense? The other thing that came to mind about it was the other example that came to mind was, and I don't know how this happened, by the way, but I've mentioned this on here. I've just thought of this a whole bunch of times. You know, at some point, not that long ago, people thought that weather was caused by the gods. And at some point, enough people started to understand the science of weather and climate and everything else, that the old way of thinking was mass abandoned. And my guess is, although I don't know the details, my guess is that that abandonment happened in a very rapid period. It probably took a long time to get there, but then once it was there, it was boom, within a very short period of time, the whole paradigm shifted, and everybody had it, just from that one change. I'm sure there were a million other changes like it, but there was a mass shift in people's minds. That is coming from that. My sense is that is coming. And so I just wanted to talk about that, because there's also another thing. There are a couple more things. One, if you're despairing about being unfulfilled in some area of your life, and you're really struggling with changing whatever it is that is causing that area of your life not to be successful, you're struggling with it in the, with the idea of changing your self-concept to change what you're experiencing, I think you're going to be getting some freebies in that area. I think the things that you're struggling with just being able to change, it's all just being able to change beliefs. I think you're going to be getting some freebies in that area. I think you're going to be getting some external world boosts that are going to just sort of help you easily move past some of those things. I think for the average person, you're going to be getting that. So, relax a little bit, and relax the idea that, you're going to fail, or you're never going to get something, or you're never going to be fulfilled. Relax about that a little bit. Just sort of remind yourself, if you start to get very anxious or upset about that things are changing, and you can't even really imagine how those things are going to end up being fulfilled, and which is always the case. But the message is just relax a little bit about all of the stuff that you're really tied up in knots over. Relax a little bit about that. And also, if you are at least as old as I am 45. If you were born, in the 70s or earlier, you've watched how the birth of the internet has changed everything. It's changed everything. And it wasn't even a thing really 30 years ago. I mean, it was, but it wasn't, it was it was a peripheral idea that was starting to grow. But everybody, you know, the societies that we live in still function. They didn't have the internet to assist them and make them more efficient and easier, and to, you know, open up this market worldwide to everybody, a market of information and products and all that stuff, and education. That wasn't there, but, you know, we were functioning and everything was progressing. And so you watch this thing happen, this crazy phenomenon, and I think it happened slowly enough for most people that we were able to just sort of, it was just a really cool thing for me. It didn't disrupt my life at all. It enhanced it. But you know, it's like, we've watched how this has changed everything, and nothing is the same as it was 30 years ago, really, thanks to the internet having taken over everything. But there was a way of life that just kind of fell away thanks to the internet. It's just, and it's, you know, it's bittersweet, because there's this advancement and new things that weren't available before are available to be experienced. And overall, you know, it's a general improvement, but there are parts of the previous way of being that are lost, sort of necessarily. It's just part of it. And so what I'm trying to say to everyone, but, you know, especially if you've lived through a change like this, you know this is true. It's time to start appreciating every day. It's time to start putting your focus on the things about your life as it is right now that you like. If you knew that you weren't going to exist anymore tomorrow, what would you miss about your life? The smallest things, what would you miss about your life? I know some people are in a place where they can barely appreciate anything, but again, you know, this is also time not just to relax about the things that you are tied up in knots about, but it's also a time to shift your focus to the things that you would miss if, you know, you knew your life was going to be over. I'm not saying your life is going to be over. I'm just saying I think it's an easy exercise to think, you know, what would I miss about this experience, this human experience, if I knew I was going off into the non-physical, you know, imminently? What would I miss? And those are the things that you should put your focus on. Because with any big change, and, you know, from my sense and from everything that I am hearing, the sense is this is going to, you know, the advancements in everything and whatever is going to happen that we don't even know, those things are going to bring about miraculous advancements, but they will also change. And once again, the old way of living will fall away. And so, necessarily, and that's okay. But it's time to enjoy everything. Not thinking, oh, this is going to be gone soon. Just purely enjoying it, because we don't know what's going to be here or not. So there's no point in adding some sort of, you know, angst or sorrow to it. It's just, this is the message that's trying to come through me to you. It's time for you to stop worrying so much about the future, and to stop thinking so much about the things you don't have and wondering if you're ever going to be able to get your shit right in order to manifest those things. It's time to stop thinking about that, and it's time to start appreciating the things that you have right now that you love, the things about your life that make you happy. And it's also a really good time to start to, without the intention of getting something in the 3D world, it's time to start giving yourself a break and thinking more highly of yourself. And finding a different way, you can ask divine intelligence to shift your perception. Finding a different way to view your life and the thoughts that you have about your past, and to just kind of let those things go. Because I think something that's going to be really important, and again, where the hell is this idea even coming from? It's not like I've been sitting around thinking about this shit. I think something that's going to be really important is to be as free as possible of things from the past that are currently restraining you, like ideas that you have about yourself from the past. It's going to be important, I think, to be as free of that stuff as possible in the future. I don't know why. That's just my sense, suddenly. So I hope you can do something with that. I don't really know where this came from. A lot of it came through, you know, obviously my intellectual filter or whatever. Something else I wanted to say, I've mentioned this here before, an interesting mental shift that I had about 20 years ago when I found myself in my worst case scenario, which was living at home with my mom again at 27. Basically, since I left the house at 17 all the way until 27, my worst freaking nightmare was, what if I can't continue to find a way to pay my rent and support myself and I have to move back in with mom? I was like, that would be the worst thing that could ever happen. And through a series of events that didn't really have to do with me not being able to pay my rent or whatever, I made a series of bad decisions that ended up with me sort of having no choice but to end up living back with my mom again. Details don't matter. But for the first few months that I was living there, it was just awful. I was just so dejected that my worst case scenario had played out. And then I had sort of a miraculous shift in how I was viewing the situation. I started thinking, oh my God, like I grew up in this house. I'm back living in the house that I grew up in. It's almost certainly, this period of time is almost certainly going to come to an end, probably not that long from now. And I have this one additional opportunity here to sort of relive. I live with mom again. Like, when am I ever going to live with mom again? When am I going to live in my old bedroom again? This is like a sort of a precious little window of time that I'm existing in, actually. And that's how I should be looking at this. I should be milking every drop out of this experience. I should be appreciating that my mom is here and that she's healthy and that, I have this opportunity to kind of relive this little slice of my childhood again as an adult. Nobody's telling me where I can go or what I can do or when I have to be home. It's not like the things I hated about being a kid are a part of this. I just live in a house with a person and I don't feel like, I feel like a failure. I feel like I'm not independent enough or whatever, but that can just get put to the wayside. I should be focusing on this glowing little golden opportunity that ended up only lasting about a year and a half before I moved out again. And I just can't imagine if I'd been hating it that whole time. That perspective shift allowed me to have a totally different experience. And I think that's how people should be looking at current life. Like, if you're putting your attention on things that are bad right now, it's a total waste of time. I'm telling you. Right now you should, I think, be, if you're watching this video, then this is definitely for you. What needs to be happening is a total appreciation of this moment in time that you are living in. Because soon it's going to be different and it's never going back. And you're here now on purpose to experience all this stuff. So if you're thinking about the future or living in the past, or you just think that you have all the time in the world to appreciate the little things, you need to understand that what you need to be doing right now is absolutely focusing on the enjoyment and appreciation of everything that's currently available, and you need to be appreciating yourself, and you need to be letting go of all the baggage. Like, intentionally put the baggage down and understand that the reason the baggage is completely irrelevant is because what's coming in the future is just unimaginable. It's just not something that the whole old order is just going to be gone. And I think you're going to want to be as free of this stuff as you can be in the future. And also, sorry, this just keeps going, but also, the things you think you want now may not even be relevant anymore. there's no way to, right now it's just, I've been saying this to my business partner for a long time. He keeps wanting to put like goals on the business and, what are we going to do? At what point are we going to do this thing? And I'm just like, how can we possibly make any plans right now? Like, we don't even know what the world's going to look like in 1 year. We may not have a business in a year, or, the things that we're working for via the business, they may or may not even be available, or something new and better might be available, or, there might be a whole different way of living. It's just, right now, I don't think it's the time to get really fixated on anything in the physical world. It's just about enjoying and appreciating the little things in your life, that the way of life that you're currently living. Appreciate every single day, because things are going to change and new and better things are going to be available, but the old way of life is simply not going to be. It just won't, because that's just the way things go. And so appreciate it now while you have it. And that is the whole of this message. And I think really interesting and good things are coming. And I'm very uneasy about the unknown aspect of it, but I actually feel a lot better after having made this video. I felt these ideas coming out sort of uplifted me. I was feeling yesterday especially, just like very anxious and uneasy. But I think this is what it is. And so this message is obviously for me, but for everybody else hearing this, it's pretty universal. So that's it. Have a great day.